My original plan was going to have a Super Bowl party. Like no matter who was in it, I was like, we got to have Super Bowl party no matter what. Because it was like, that was before the Commanders were obviously one of the teams, and I was like, well, as long as it's not the Chiefs, right?
Yeah,
but
I
wanted figure.
I wanted a Bills Washington Super Bowl.
Fuck that. No,
I would have wanted that. I know you wanted the Eagles, but still, I mean, Bills Eagles would have been fine.
Oh, anyone but the Chiefs.
Yeah, seriously.
Now anyone but the Chiefs.
Yeah. Anyone.
Now I want the Eagles to win. I mean, I don't really give a shit who wins, but I want the Eagles to win.
I'm buying a Quinyon Mitchell jersey off Facebook Marketplace.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's one of the gray ones. It's like a grayish, it looks like a dirty white almost, but I'm getting that for $45.
Nice.
And he was just, it had to be one of the ones they bought off like China or something like that.
Oh yeah, you can buy them for like $10. They're cheap. Yeah. I think my TJ Watt jersey was from that.
Oh yeah, sorry about your Steelers.
30. You know we're used to it over here. Yes. I'm the big. My buddies hate me for it. They get so pissed, but I'm like the biggest Steelers critic. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like you have to be.
I'm getting all amped up now, man.
Yeah.
It's all right, Minnesota. We
guys.
We went. We just
shit the bed.
We got shit the bed in the first round.
Let's not go down any more rabbit holes with that. So, welcome to the Backcountry PA podcast. Welcome back to the Backcountry PA podcast, Alex. It's been a while since you've actually been on this. So, for all the listeners, I'm Cody.
I'm Ethan,
and we got.
I'm Alex.
Yes, from the Buck Down podcast on our podcast. So the interesting thing about this one, this is going to be a 2-part podcast. So half of this is going to be on our show. The other half is going to be on Alex's show.
Ooh.
So
force
the best
way
to do it.
Oh.
Yeah, force him to go over there.
Marketing genius.
Genius.
He paid me a pretty penny. I'm just kidding. He didn't pay me at all for that.
I'll pay you in hunting spots.
Yeah.
Cards.
Pokemon cards.
Pokemon cards.
Got a couple.
In the video podcast, I might keep that in there. I might just try to keep that in there. Just
why not?
Hit the new listeners, right? Hit the new viewers.
Yeah, do they? Hey, man, there's a market out there. You probably draw a bunch of people in that you never expected to listen.
Oh God, no. So, pretty much in the first half here, we're going to cover pretty much the first half of Alex's season. Second half, we're going to get into the second half of the season, obviously, and some other little stuff that we're pretty much going to talk about. I mean, I have a few things written down here, so we're just going to go with it. Talk about hunting. That's all we're going to really do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, Alex, for all the listeners who haven't heard your podcast or on ours previously, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, where you're from, how you got hunting, all that kind of good stuff.
Yep. Yeah, my name is Alex Grosso. I am from Western Pennsylvania. I'm in the Pittsburgh area. I got a podcast. Check it out, Buck Down Podcast. It's pretty new, but we're rolling, man. We're having fun with it. It's a good time. Learned a lot of things on there too. Been hunting for, I was just typical PA way, man. It was kind of just born into hunting with my family, going out rifle season every year, and then high school and college kind of simmered down a little bit, and then after college is when I really started peaking of trying to learn and just become a better hunter. And man, just been hunting ever since, and I love archery hunting. I do rifle hunting still as well. This year I had a doe tag left. That's it, because I tagged out in archery, and man, we don't have the hunting camp anymore here where I'm at, so I woke up early just for a doe tag. Man, I was in my tree by like 5:30. I was all amped up, ready to get out. So the tradition is there. It's still in the blood. It's just on a temporary hold right now. But yeah, man, just Pennsylvania guy and love whitetail hunting.
Yeah, man. I think that's pretty much everyone that's come on here is like pretty much when they're from Pennsylvania. That's like, it's kind of, if you're an outside listener, it's boring to hear that because it's like the same thing over and over again. It's like born in my blood. But like for us, it's like, it makes us happy to hear that because it's like,
you're
it's
like
still
one of
around.
us. One of us.
Like one of us. Yeah, exactly. As Ethan chants down here. Like we're a freaking cult.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it though, PA hunters, it's like it's a cult if you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. But as we're recording this too, it is January 29th. The Great American Outdoor Show comes to town this weekend.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest cult group you'll ever see.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going next weekend, and I got a couple buddies. We're driving up, and I'm pumped.
Yeah,
dude. I was at work today, and like on my computer, I have a picture of one of the deer I got down. I had to pull something up to show them. And he was like a visitor. He's like, "Oh, did you get that? Where'd you get that?" I'm like, "I got him in Ohio." But we just started kicking it off for like 20 minutes about hunting.
Yeah.
I know we were like best friends before he left.
Dude, so for my job, I will bleed some of this out, but I write citations for certain people, and I went to a court hearing for this guy who lived in Colorado. He did live here previously, but we got talking, like we were talking for like half an hour, 40 minutes about hunting and how I wish I would have got his number because like he has property in Kansas, like he has multiple farms in Kansas now. Oh. He hunts out in Colorado. He has land out there. And I'm like, man, why didn't I get your number? But he was telling me all this like 200-inch buck he got down in Kansas. His grandfather got down, first time ever getting down there. Like it was just exactly what you said. It was just a easy conversation, and I ended up withdrawing the citation because I was like, this guy's a good guy.
We like him.
You'd be surprised where like networking like that gets you too.
Yeah.
You know, got a property, you want to come down, hunt this property, check it out, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
There you go. Kansas. Well, you got to apply for it, I'm pretty sure, but
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think, Kansas you got to apply for, which I think more states are going to go toward that route because of this boom in hunting now. I think a lot more people want to explore, want to get out of their state, want to go to new places. So I think that's going to lead to, you have to get points. You have to do this. Like it's going to be like Maryland. I know we can go down there, buy a pretty cheap tag. Ohio, we can go out there and buy a decently cheap tag. Illinois, it's more expensive. New York, you can buy a tag up there.
Yep.
So it's just like, it's, I think eventually we might stop seeing that, but hopefully not in my lifetime.
Yeah. So for the time being, take advantage of it while you have it. And I mean, I don't know if you guys want to get into it or not, but Pennsylvania changed a few things for this few.
Let's get into it pretty quick before we get into Alex's start of the season there.
Yeah, with the elk. Did you saw that? Did you see that, Alex?
No, what happened?
So is it official or proposed?
Here, you keep talking.
It's pretty solid. I think it's actually is. If it hasn't happened yet, it's probably going to happen. So they're going to change the elk the way for Pennsylvania. Okay. One, you have to have a Pennsylvania hunting license. So even non-residents, before you didn't have to, now even non-residents have to purchase a non-resident hunting license for Pennsylvania. So that might deter some non-residents because they don't want to buy a non-resident tag if they're not going to hunt here except for elk.
So it's proposed.
It's
not passed yet, which
it might.
Go ahead.
It might. It's looking pretty solid.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, they capped the non-resident at 10%. So no more than 10% of every tag that is given out will be a non-resident, which I don't think it's ever been more than 10% anyway, but they put a cap on it to be safe. Starting in 2026, if you get drawn for a bull elk tag, you're done. You can never apply for bull elk tag ever again.
I didn't see that one, but that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
You can apply for cow elk in the future, but it's literally a once in a lifetime opportunity. So once you get drawn, you're done. So that would be starting in 2026.
Gotcha. I like that. Honestly, I did not know about the whole, if you get drawn for an elk, that's the only one you ever get for your lifetime, which I think is great because we have world-class elk in Pennsylvania. So if, say, he gets drawn, then 5 years later he gets drawn again when someone else has never been drawn before.
Because I think that's what the rule is now.
Right.
If you get drawn for a bull, you have to wait 5 years to apply for a bull tag. Cow elk is essentially every year, and that's I don't think that's not changing. It's just the bulls now that are once you're done.
I saw they on the news the other day. They're proposing again. Monday opening day for rifle.
God, people just
leave it alone.
They just want to keep poking the bear. Like just let it go. Like Saturday, if you don't want to go out on Saturday, don't go out. Like go out on Monday if you really want to.
Yeah, it just gets more people out. On Saturday, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, there's a study out that shows that there's 10 times more people out on Saturday. Businesses are better, all that kind of stuff. Like there's businesses 10 times better on Saturday. Like more people are able to go out in the woods and actually enjoy it and actually partake in camp still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to go out every day.
I really, it doesn't affect me at all. I could Saturday, Monday, whatever it is. I mean, it's like a holiday and a lot of works. People expect people to not show up or take vacation that Monday, week after rifle. Heck, schools close.
Yeah, some are. Yeah.
I mean,
I took off this Monday. I took off for that Monday. I was off Saturday, Sunday, and I was like, you know what? I already had 2 doe down on Sunday. I was like, I'm just going to stay up here and butcher them and then go home Monday. I'm not going to rush around and get home Sunday and go to work. Like, that's not going to be fun.
I took the whole week.
I know you did.
I had time.
I know you did.
I just said, you know what?
I know. I know. Bastard.
Perks.
But they already approved also the deer season, when deer season opens. October 4th. October 4th is when the statewide archery opens. For the early season for WMU's 2B, 5C, and 5D, which I believe you're in, right, Alex?
Yep.
So that would be September 20th. It'll open.
Okay.
So September timeframe. Yep.
Yeah, it's usually that 3rd week in September.
Yep.
It opens up.
Yep.
For here.
Yeah.
And then.
Yep. For 5C and 5D also, and that's near us. I actually was recently just looking at some 5D locations. I was like, because someone just posted a picture of a big buck in 5D, and I was like, there might be some public down there I could go to.
Yeah, why not?
Or get a doe down early would be nice.
Yeah, just start off strong.
Yeah.
And then you just coast.
Yeah, coast, yeah.
Yeah, just coast. It's fine. Shoot a doe, I'll coast the rest of the year.
Speaking of shooting does and bucks,
yes.
Let's get into Alex's season. So, you said you're in the 2B area, early season there. So when did your season start? Like, what was your first outing like? I know you went out with a bunch of guys. So let's talk about that a little bit and talk about that experience first.
Yeah, actually, the opening weekend was awesome. We started out, so we have a farm out by us, but we all started out on public, and none of us had any luck. But that evening, we went to the farm, and man, dude, season started real high, dude. Really, really great. It was a roller coaster of emotions throughout the whole season. You know how they go, but so I nailed this doe at 15 yards, and man, it did the mule kick. It did everything you wanted to do. I'm like, okay, smoked the doe. Fast forward like an hour and a half later, I'm sitting under this canopy, or I'm like on the edge of a field, and then just this little bottom. And the wood canopy comes over the field a little bit, and there's corn stalks. It's hand-picked corn.
Mm-hmm.
And I see something walking down the corn. I'm like, holy shit, I see antlers. That's a big deer. Like, there's a nice deer. And it was coming right down towards me, and then it made a left turn and started walking the other way. And I'm like, I don't give it. I'm jumping out of this tree, and I'm creeping up on this thing. So, and dude, but this was like what I did shaped the rest of my season, though. So I started stalking it and crawling behind it. I was crawling behind it for probably like 20 minutes or so, and I see a drop tine or a kicker on the one side. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm keeping my eye on it the whole time. And I'm just creeping up, whatever. And then next thing you know, I'm behind this bush and I'm at full draw. And then I'm like back down. And then I'm at full draw. And then I'm holding full draw for a little while. And the deer gets up, and I don't see the kicker anymore. And you got to have 4 points on one side here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So at one point or another, there had to be another buck in there, which was still a nice buck. It wasn't as big as the one that I was chasing after, crawling after. But I'm like, shit, I got to check that it has 4 points again. So I'm looking like this, like full draw, looking behind your peep. I'm like, 1, 2, 3. And it's walking in a way where there's another, it's a big bush where if it were to cross that, I'm going to have no shot. So I see 4, and I let one rip a little bit, and I was uphill, probably like 25 yards uphill. And I used my 20-yard pin, and my buddy was with me. I hit it right through the brisket, and there was no blood on it or nothing. But dude, I'll tell you what, I didn't even care. I was like, that was the coolest thing I've ever done hunting, and like I felt good after that. And then we're like, all right, let's go look for this doe. Like, I smoked this deer. There's no way it made it, and we didn't find blood for like 30 yards. And I had a fixed at the time. We tracked it, man, through like stuff that I was crawling like face first down. Like a dog couldn't even crawl through this stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And we just had like a drop of blood, and we're like, I guess, we'll back out. And then 2 days later, my buddy was driving by and found the doe, which I felt, it sucks, but I mean, We did what we could. We
Mhm.
we lost blood. We circled around. I mean, it was super nasty stuff. And but dude, I mean, just going the rest of the season in I guess early season it
Mhm.
was we were hunting I'm hunting the public out here, and there's a deer that I've been after, and he kind of disappeared over the summer, and he ended up showing back up on a SD camera. So I didn't know he was back in the area till like mid-October, but I wasn't hunting at that point in Pennsylvania. And man, I was seeing deer a whole bunch, and on the ground I was hunting. There's nothing that I'm after for. I was looking for something just a little bit bigger, and man, I mean, I was having fun with it,
Mhm.
seeing just again nothing I wanted. So the one day I'm like, all right, I'm gonna switch to a new piece, and it's a private piece where it's kind of I think it's like 30 acres. It's in like a rural area.
Mhm.
And I just went there for an observation sit. I'm just like, I gotta switch it up. I'm seeing all these bucks, but none of them are what I'm after right now. And I really wasn't expecting the kill. And there was he was a 5-year-old last year, and I had a slight encounter with him. And this year, it's funny because I had an SD cam and I went to check my camera first before I got set up. And I'm looking through. I brought my computer with me in my pack, so I'm sitting in the tree, going through everything, and this deer he didn't show up. He showed up in July. And that was it. Maybe
Mhm.
once or twice after that, and that was it. It was on a scrape. All these other deer were coming and hitting it. I'm like, all right, whatever. This is just an observation sit. Observation sitting is, I don't know. Some people say it's risky. I think it's the best thing, to see where these deer are coming in and out of, and just getting ass time.
Mhm.
So I sat like 80 yards downwind of this scrape, and literally like in a creek. There's a little tree. There's a tree coming out of like the side of this creek bed, and it was downwind. Well, when the thermals were dropping, it was at the very bottom.
Okay.
And 545 comes, and I look behind me and I see him, and it was so funny because I was like, "This is the only deer I'll kill off this property if I see him tonight." I was telling my one buddy,
Yeah.
and I named him. I'm calling him Old Yeller. If I see Old
Okay.
Yeller, and dude, what do you know? He comes walking out literally along the creek downwind of this scrape. I'm guessing he was just scent checking this scrape the whole time because he could walk this bottom for forever. It goes on into other like pieces of woods where I'm sure he just could just take it forever.
Mhm.
And I never rangefinder. I never use my rangefinder. At a deer. I don't know if
Mhm.
you guys do that.
I do
Like,
it all the time.
I've never
oh,
done.
range trees. And I ranged them. And good thing I did because I thought it was like 50 yards. It was 35. It was 35
Oh
yards.
gosh.
God.
I uh I pulled back and I hit him. Man, it was a perfect shot. He fell 10 yards and dropped, and I dragged him out. It was a clean, easy, everything about it. And that was my PA season. That was October 2nd. So
Oh,
Wow.
from there
wow.
was yeah, my goal is to get a September buck.
Yeah.
Um, Next year maybe I'll try. But that was it for Pennsylvania. I mean, it was smooth. It was a old good deer, man. That was the only deer I was after on the whole property. I didn't want to get anything else. And I knew of him from last year,
Yeah.
and checking cameras in July
Okay.
or whenever it was. I just knew he was still there. So I'm like, if I see him, I see him.
I
What do you know? Um,
I am baffled by kind of both you and Ethan, honestly, because you guys take computers in the woods to check trail cameras, and I'm just here with a little SD card reader. I'm like,
I like to see
I-
it nice and big and clear, and I don't
So-
have to zoom in if I don't want to. And
I won't go to those SD card readers anymore because 2-3 years ago I had one trail camera. It was an SD camera. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, dude. I would just set it and I would check it every single day. Like, and the one time I let it sit for forever. I put my SD card in there. I had plugged into my phone, and I remember seeing all the images like uploading. They do the circle, and then they were vanished. They were gone.
oh,
I had any photos, so I'm like, yeah, I'll just bring my computer. So
and it
I
works.
did. Okay. So I did the computer once when I had the lease,
Yeah.
but that was it. And I was just like, I can't take this computer in the woods with me all the time. Like, this is just
Oh yeah.
ridiculous. But
So only certain
it can't-
times you do it.
yeah.
the computer was nice. I don't know why. I mean, I don't even. I must have planned that I was gonna hunt there that evening because I usually pack my stuff in my truck after work or for work, and I must have slipped it in there just to know to check these cameras, and hey, it worked, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I was like, these are good, but I just want to see something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I was just getting a bunch of yearling bucks just running around, not really knowing what they're doing. Just
Now,
And-
when you say observation set, because like I understand it, but yet I don't at the same time. When people always say like, "Oh, I'm just doing an observation set," are you thinking like, okay, let's just say a scrape, because everyone goes after scrapes.
Yeah.
Here's a scrape. I might set up maybe 40 yards down from that scrape would be where I would want to actively hunt it, but I'm going to sit an extra 80 yards away from that and watch it from a distance. Is that like what an observation sit really is?
So, I guess it could be anything, but for me, it's like, so I hunt, when I'm hunting a scrape, I'm like downwind of where that deer is going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
And it just leaves more distance in between. I wasn't really going in there to kill unless that one deer came out, but I wanted to see if there's other deer in the area. I'm not going to hunt an area because a trail camera is saying something different. You know what I mean? Because I've been burned too many times on that. Just to see the other deer in the area. And I've learned just from talking with a lot of seasoned guys that not all bucks are going to just come right and hit a scrape. They may scent check it, downwind of it. So I just want to see what deer are in the area, where they're coming from, what they're doing. That was all I really wanted to do, just to kind of read the woods a little bit.
So you said that you had history with this buck, like at least 2 years of history, right? Like at least 2 years, maybe.
A year.
Okay. So how did you first find out about him? Was it the same camera you were just talking about? You just found him with the scrape, and then you were like, okay, he's here.
I hunted the area last year.
Mm-hmm.
He came in, and he was a 6 point.
Okay.
He's a really ugly looking 6 point, but he was like a big 6 point. He was wide, and you got to have 4 up on one side where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't hunt him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Couldn't go out. I just knew of him in the area, and I could tell he was an older deer then. And I saw him on the camera, and I saw he had a real weird. He had larger brow tines, and his one end. He was a 9 point this year, but I just knew he was a shooter this year, and I'm like, there's a good deer, and you have a history with a deer. I don't know. It's like, I saw this deer progress from one year to another. I had a close call with the deer. I'm going to shoot this deer down just because I know he's an older deer. That's kind of what after was. And I'm not a big mature age hunter.
Mm-hmm.
After mature bucks only, but this was a mature buck in the area that I knew existed. And I'm like, that would be really cool to shoot this deer.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up showing himself. And part of the observation sitting was, if I see him 60 yards away, okay, maybe I know I can adjust or where he could have been bedding and whatnot. So just picking up on those things.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with the whole, like, once you start having history with a buck, it's like, oh, want in your mind, it's like, because I know you had another buck that you have history with as well that you're like, you would love to go after, and you still probably have history with him now. He probably made it through the season. It sounds, from the way you talked about him before, he probably made it through again. So it's like when you have that history built up, because I wouldn't say I have history built up. It's just 1 year under my belt with said buck. But it's like you build all this knowledge and you put it together, like with SD cams. Like I think that's why I love SD cams so much and dislike cell cams so much now. I thought for cell cams, cell cams were the way to go because I just had a daughter. I was like, oh, I got to put these out, so I know when to hunt. Like I got to have that instant notification so I can be like, okay, I'm going out this day. But in reality, any camera you put out, you're always a day late and $1 short. Like they're always like a day behind. So like that's why I love SD cams. Just let them soak. You don't feel stressed when you go in there. It's like whatever's on that camera, I have no chance at anyway because it's already gone.
Yep.
So building that history, it's like I love now. I never understood, and I don't think Ethan understood this either. Like Ethan specifically, right?
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand a lot of things. Why do you think I ask so many freaking questions?
Hey,
so like, but for me, like listen to these people say, "Oh, I built a spreadsheet of like wind, weather, rain, precipitation, humidity, the pressure at the time, like the wind direction." I'm like, that's fucking nuts. Like, what are you doing? Like,
people are crazy.
How do you have the time to do that? And now it's like, when you have pictures of this buck, of any buck, really, like on camera, you can like build history with that area now. Like, you don't have to just build history with that buck. It's that whole area. It's like, okay, this buck came through. If he doesn't make it through the season, there's another buck that will do the same thing. Just I have to build that history and know when they travel through. Mm-hmm. I love it.
And Ethan, you said something on one of your podcasts I listened to of the instant gratification. Like when you see a camera, okay, if my cell camera goes off right now and I look at it, it's like, sweet, a buck. Mm-hmm. Now, some document that picture or whatnot. But with SD cameras, I feel like it's more, okay, there was a buck here on this date, like what you said. Mm-hmm. Whatever you said, Ethan, about, cell cameras versus SD, of it's easier to remember the dates, or just to kind of, I don't know, the instant gratification of a cell camera just kind of throws you off.
Yeah, because with the SD, you're going to let them sit for, let's just say 3 months. If you put them out, beginning of the season, let it sit for those 3 months, you check it. Then you can go back, like you have 3 whole months of pictures to look at and go over. While the SD or the cell camera, it's like, all right, I got a picture today. Awesome, cool. Unless you write it down right away, you're going to forget about it because it's there and gone.
Yep. Yeah. Because I this season was the last season I used cell cams. Well, I'm using cell cams. I still have like 2 in the woods that aren't on right now.
Yeah.
But like, it was funny. My dad was up hunting, I think he was out for like the last weekend of archery or whatever, or last couple days of archery. And I had a cell cam up there, and I had a buck chasing a doe on cell cam, and I sent it to my dad like the next day, and he was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Okay.
Like it was like I got it, but yet it meant absolutely nothing in the moment. Like, it was just like, cool, it's a picture. Like, it's when you have, I just think SD cams pulling the card, it's something nostalgic about that. It makes you feel like you walk in there like, oh man, I wonder what's on the camera. I wonder what's there. Like, I don't know what's on this camera. Like, it might not be anything. It might be a bunch of turkey, or a bear might have taken it down. Whatever.
Yeah, I got the inside of a bear's mouth. And, I've gotten the inside of porcupine mouths already.
Yep.
Bastards.
It's got a squirrel nut sack.
Yeah.
Nice, a nut sack. That's good. Fun. Put that on your spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Put that on your spreadsheet.
No.
I'll tell you what though, dude. The cell cameras that I have, I'm not gonna drop any names. They freaking suck, dude. They freaking suck. Their battery life, whether they're on cellular mode or not, suck. They're like a month. I was expecting all this data. I'm like, I can't wait to go check my cameras and get all of it. I checked the camera the other day. There was nothing. It was dead. I'm like, I'm fucking done with this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. The worst part. So that's terrible right there. When you walk in, you don't have like, it's not doing anything. But for me, it's when you put a cell cam out, because I did this in the big woods. Put a cell cam out. I have one bar. It says it connects, everything like that. I don't have service on my phone. I walk out, and it says not connected. I'm like, that is 4 miles in the woods right now. I still have not gone back to like check it. I was like, I'm just canceling the service. Done.
Just leave it there. Grows into the tree.
Pretty much. Solar panels on it too.
Oh.
I got 3 Tascos, and they are. I'm pretty sure the one's still out working right now. They are so reliable, man. Like, I had no doubt at all. Good pictures. Everything was perfect. That's all I need. All I want. I don't need that. The gratification of going and checking a trail camera and putting it in your computer, the SD card, is so much better than going off on your phone.
I'm telling you, got to get on the computer game, Cody.
I'm not taking a damn computer in the woods.
What? You got to do. You got to get on our level.
With where I go, it's going to add more weight to my pack when I'm going in.
It's all right.
Plus,
Think of
cell cams. I just said cell cams. I apologize. My other SD cams.
Cody's a liar.
I'm a liar.
Well, just think of it as weight training. Because then when you have that extra weight, when you're checking your cameras, when you don't have it, it's It's gonna be a little
Then
extra
you
easier.
know what's going to happen. Then I'm going to fall backwards. I'm going to fall and it's going to smash on a rock. My cameras will be fine, but my computer will just not be.
Well, that's why you don't take a good computer.
Oh, how many computers do you think we have?
Yeah,
I mean, I have 2.
I have one.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one computer. we have a computer up in the cabin
I have that little
that's
handheld
strictly
thing.
for
I have that
SD
little
cards.
handheld thing,
Yeah,
but I can't figure it out. Like, I can't zoom in with it.
no,
So, and
so that's
it's-
why I don't bother. Laptop.
They came up with a new one, though.
Ooh.
I saw it's like a little iPad now that you can actually take in the woods with you and like just put the SD card in.
Yeah,
Yeah, it literally looks like an iPad.
nice.
Yeah.
See, that wouldn't be bad.
I think they're going to be at the outdoor show. Not sure.
Had from like 2005. I might take that out and just start checking cameras with that. Keep that nice and small. Right?
Do the iPads have the SD card reader in
No,
them?
but I'm sure attachment, right?
Yeah, I mean
Maybe.
you could buy one of those little things to put in it.
Oh yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, SD cams are so much easier because you just flick them on, and then you just walk away. It's done.
They're free.
You know? Yeah. Yep.
Man,
Other
out
than
of batteries and customer complaints this year.
Yeah.
Holy,
yeah,
a lot.
man. So
But-
all right, so let's. So you shot that buck, but like, what was the emotion like? Like what was the time frame between checking the you're sitting in the stand with your laptop?
I checked my
Like-
camera at 3:30, man.
Okay.
And on my way there, I was calling my buddy, and I'm like, I'm not seeing the deer I want to see on the game lands, blah blah. I'm just switching it up. I'm just gonna go here, check my cameras, do an observation sit. If I see a deer, it's the old yeller, and I saw him, and man, I was ecstatic. As anyone kills a deer, you're like, holy crap! I just did it. Like
Yeah.
I want to kill this deer, and he came by and I killed it. And it was cool because if I would have sat up where I would have sat a year ago, maybe he would have busted the crap out of me. And that's why I like going further down than like 30 yards or not hunting right over top of scrape, just because you can get busted more. I feel like, but he would have nailed me, and it was just everything worked out perfect. It was a clean, perfect shot. Ran 10 yards. Motions were high. It was October 2nd. I'm like, this is the earliest I killed a buck. Man, I felt on top of the world.
So you said early in the season you were doing a fixed
Yeah,
product.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So about that.
Yeah.
So that doe I hit, I know it was a good shot. I'm very confident in it. It was a very easy, clean shot. Didn't find blood for 30 yards. Found specks of blood. The buck I shot in Ohio was with a fixed broadhead. We found specks of blood leading up to really until I saw him fall, but very little blood. Hit him in the lungs. A deer I shot about 4 years ago hit him directly through the heart. And I'm walking around the area. I thought I missed it. I'm like, I couldn't find blood. And then I started doing larger circles, and I finally came to blood. Those were 3 deer I killed with a broadhead that very little blood. So I'm like, I got to get to I was against expandables just because I heard a lot of bad things about them. But man, I won't go back to fixed broadheads anymore after using these expandables, because the hole was 2 inches, man. It was nice. I mean, the deer's not surviving that.
No.
And blood was everywhere, which obviously we want to see.
Yep.
So that was a big change I made this year.
Okay.
I mean, I think that helped for the best, honestly. I mean, they're
How-
just easier to sight in and, tune to your bow.
How did that change your setup at all? Because I tried going from mechanical to fixed, and I noticed that when I would shoot the practice tip or shoot the fixed blades in general, I would always be shooting to the right or shooting to the left, like really far, So how did that change from your setup? Like, did you really have to tune it back in?
Well, let me try to remember. I don't think it took much tuning at all, because that Sunday after that doe, we hunted that Saturday. My buddy had 3 expandables for me to try out, and I sighted my bow in, and I don't believe I changed much at all from what I remember. I remember it being very smooth, pretty easy. I'm like, oh, that was a lot easier than I expected, because when you're tuning a broadhead, sometimes you got to tune it. You got to tune the broadhead, right? You got to move your rest slightly. I didn't have to do any of that. It was dead on, and I started at 20. I went all the way back to 40 yards, and it was very easy.
Okay.
Very.
It seems like it's harder to go from mechanical to a fixed than it is go from a fixed back to a mechanical.
Yeah, it's basically like shooting, a field tip and then putting on a fixed
Yeah.
because it's gonna be right or left,
Yep.
right, up, whatever, and then you gotta move your rest a little bit. So yeah, like you said, I mean, if you're shooting it's probably easier to go to mechanical.
Yeah. Because I shot G5s this year, dead meat,
Hmm.
and the buck I couldn't recover. I still kind of feel like it didn't expand the whole way that it could have expanded,
Mhm.
right? But yet I still don't know, right?
You're using expand.
Yeah, I was
Oh.
using expandable for that. So may not expand it, may expand it too soon before entering the buck. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to stick. I'm going to stick with mechanicals still. I think I'm going to go get wrecked.
Go get wrecked.
I think that's actually their slogan is "Get wrecked." But I'm gonna go check out Wreck Broadheads because they came out with some nice. Their mechanical broadheads look really nice, so I'm gonna try them. USA made too, so I think I'm gonna try them out this year. Shoot them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not huge into expandables. I kind of just get whatever I think looks good and isn't, has good quality, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, trying out a few different ones for sure. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
the way to go. But tuning it and sighting in, man, it was a breeze.
Yeah, that's why I like the mechanicals because like most of the time when you get a mechanical, they give you a field point to test out with it. Like, hey,
Mhm.
this is the same. Everything's about this, just they don't have the expandable blades on it. So I'm going to try that. I also saw that Rage released a new 4-pack this year at ATA. That they have a new collar on it. They have all that kind of stuff on it. So I might get some Rages and some Rex and see which one's shooting better out of my bow. And I might be getting a new bow this year. I
There you
might,
go.
but I'm debating it. I don't know yet.
I'm a fixed blade kind of guy. That's I don't know what I do.
I got a blown up PSE in my garage you can have.
Blown up PSC.
Yeah.
Sold.
So $20.
We'll get into that story then. But no, I'm looking at. I don't want to buy an expensive bow. Obviously, like that's
Yeah.
one thing I don't want to do. I'm looking at maybe a bear bow from like the Hunting Public bear bow, like this one that comes completely set up with everything. I might do that. But yet again, I might just stick with my bow. Honestly, like I might just get new string for it and just go from there.
You have problems with your bow now?
No, my bow's fine. It's just I don't know. I don't know. I just
Because
You just wanted something new.
yeah. I just 5
Yeah,
years
yeah.
with it. Kind of just maybe I should get something new, but I don't know.
a Hoyt Helix, man, and I wish I never would have sold that dang thing. I love that bow.
Yeah?
That was my baby, and I went to that new bow, and I practically got my finger chopped off.
Oh God.
It was
Do tell.
it did blow up a couple times in my face.
Oh my god.
My
That's
buddy, he got into archery 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
we were talking every day. He really wanted to learn how to deer hunt and everything. He got all this stuff, brand spanking new, and then he ended up taking over his family business. He's like, man, I just don't have time to get out. And I reached out to him like, are you gonna keep that bow? He has a Matthews VX3. I always wanted a VXR, but
Mm-hmm.
he sold that to me. He's never taken it out hunting. Brand new Rogue strings on it. Awesome sight. I put my old sight on, but it's a good sight for like very cheap and some deer meat. So that saved my season. A lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
my string. I didn't replace my string on my bow this year. I replaced it last year, so it's still shooting good. Everything's good with it. I'm on with it. I might just get new string. I don't know. Like I said, I'm still debating. See what's at the outdoor show. See what kind of sales are going on at the outdoor show.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Why
try
not?
them on, test them out. You know,
I'll just stick with what I got.
I know you will.
I'm
know.
not gonna
I might
change.
get. You know what? I might get a vertical crossbow.
Do it with the
No.
like 10 shots,
Guys,
10 bolts in it.
With the 10 bolts, yeah. With the 10 bolts.
God.
don't they got automatic crossbows? Wasn't
They,
someone that
yeah, they just released it. So stupid.
is happening? That is so bad.
That's a home self-defense weapon. That's not a hunting weapon.
That's like a zombie apocalypse weapon.
If
Yeah.
that's advertised for freaking hunting, then
Well, was that ATA, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
Embarrassing.
ATA, I feel like is going downhill quite a bit from what I see. I've never been there, but like ATA to me is like for trade. It's an archery show. The new products coming out. Like
Yeah.
what I'm seeing now, and this is I mean this is a big rabbit hole we're going down here, but ATA, I feel like it's going downhill because there's a lot more like those influencers just going there trying to like put videos out on their YouTube channel and like not actually like help grow the brand. Like the media passes, I feel are for actual media. It's not for people who like go there with their phone to make a quick little video of like interviewing people. It's like I want to see the actual, like I want to like know what's new. Like I actually want to have a good review on this stuff. Like I just feel like it's going downhill, and it's also I feel like it's going more to like the gadget show than it is like an archery show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, here's a gadget to add to your arsenal.
That's borderline
illegal,
unethical and legal.
Yeah. I don't know.
Here, I heard some reviews about it that it was very slow. Not a lot was, like they release a lot of things at ATA and not a lot were released. And I think like a milk, correct me if I'm wrong, something for milkweed was like one of the top winners. I think I could be thinking of something else, but it was something very par. It wasn't a new.
Oh, I know. So the Tether just released a saw, like a tree saw that you can put on a stick to cut limbs. Like it
use a saw in my garage.
Right.
If I need.
Yeah,
I saw it. I was
to a
like,
stick in the backyard.
I saw it and I was like, I have one of them. That's a bone saw. Like, but they just added an attachment method where you can take a stick that you broke off a tree, attach to that stick, and you can reach further with it.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
I've seen those.
that's
already.
great. But also here in Pennsylvania, you can't cut shooting lanes.
You're not on public at all.
I don't think anywhere really on public in the U.S. you can do that.
I don't know. I only know Pennsylvania.
I know Maryland you can't.
Yeah.
You can't in Maryland.
Yeah, you can't.
Other than they're pandering to the private land at that point, people.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like limbs, like I think it's like 2 inches and thicker. I have no idea, but probably.
Yeah.
Because if you got to use a saw, it's illegal.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to cut down this tree.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a chainsaw in with me.
Yeah, I don't like this tree
right
on public land. I'm cutting it down.
Times do you get in a tree though when it's dark and you get up, or even in daylight, you get up and you're like, gosh damn it, I didn't see that tree right there that just blocks where you want to shoot the deer at.
That is one thing that I'm definitely taking into next year is like making sure I have trees picked out for every spot that, even if it's a spot that I'm not even going to necessarily hunt, like I don't think I'm going to hunt this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm going to make sure I have a tree picked out in that area because I'm like, I'm not risking it this year.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I want to do as well. Because I never had a tree. I have never set up in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
I purposely avoid it at all costs. And I've never picked out a tree prior to going in.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I just walk in, I look around, I was like, yeah, that one looks good. And I just get up, and then if I don't like it, I'm like, oh well, I'm stuck here because I don't want to break. I don't want to break down and pick another tree because my fear is I don't get up a tree very fast.
No,
like I'm not fast at setting up. I can get up it's not going to take me an hour, right? But it's like I just took this long to get up. What if I want to go to that tree over there? As I'm breaking down, that's when the deer comes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm already here. I'm done. Like my gut said this tree. I might as well just stick it out, and if I want to move, I can move the next day.
Yep.
And I stick with that.
Then that's the part of mobile hunting too, is seeing it moving 60 yards, moving 40 yards. That busted me twice in Ohio this year. I looked at a damn tree and I said I should be right there, and I didn't do it. And boom, what do you think comes by? Nice deer.
Yeah. So everyone who listens to this part right here, you got to head over to Buck Down Podcast, listen to the next this. But before we end this one here, Alex, so you've been doing the podcast now for a year, right?
Yeah.
Like a little over a year, has it been?
Almost a year, coming up on a year. May.
Oh, okay. All right.
Nice.
So, being that you're almost at a year now, what did you learn? Like, how did you balance? One, you started a podcast, you got married, which is no easy task. Been there, done that. We've been there, done that.
Yep.
Ethan and I are not married together. We have wives ourselves.
Our wives think we are.
Just so everyone knows that.
Clarify.
Kira has called you my boyfriend more than once. She's going to go to your boyfriend's house? I was like, I already know. It's like, okay, yes, I'm going to Cody's.
So, you also, what else was it? You have a full-time job, and you went out of state a few times too. So, like, what was balancing that, like, on top of the podcast now? So you add the podcast on top of that. How did you balance all that?
Honestly, just kind of setting a pattern of, just being consistent on certain days. Because like I in Ohio, I would go after work a few times, but I'd been going every weekend, and bless my wife for allowing me to do that majority of the weekends. But like said, I would do like Mondays and Wednesdays and record and just slowly edit from. Well, when I first started, dude, I would edit the shit out of these podcasts. Like, not like edit, but like go through everything just to listen to it. You know what I mean? Just 'cause, and then I'm like, I really don't need to be doing this. So like, if someone drops like where they're from or stuff like that, I just start getting a notepad and I'll write down the time. I just go back, erase that time, do the intros, and go from there. But the podcast is all during the week, like after work. When I'm home, sometimes sometimes I'm up a little bit later. I'm not up till 12. I'm not up till 11 at night doing it. I just kind of staggered it throughout the week. And then on the weekends I'd hunt, and, bless my wife. She lets me do a lot of things, with the podcast, recording with people 2 to 3 times a week, editing, or just going through the podcast, the intros, that takes time, a lot of it. And I did not expect that. Like, okay, I'm going to start a podcast, right? All I got all people to talk to. And then you got to think of, okay, you got to go through, just make sure everything's good, whatever. You got to record intro. I do that whitetail fact. And I'll tell you what, that whitetail fact, I do?
Yeah.
I sit here for 30 minutes trying to find something in this damn book to put in. So that takes up a lot of time. And just those little things add up.
Yep.
But I just do, one day at a time. Like, do the whitetail fact one day, edit another day, do the whole intro the next day, and then put it all together. And but it's been easy now. I'm in the groove. I'm almost a year in. It's almost, I don't want to say second nature, but I'm sure you feel the same exact way. It's just kind of a click. It's just kind of easy.
Yeah, you definitely figure out over the years. You figure out what's necessary, what's not necessary. It's like the editing out stuff is like, I was big into that the first 3 years, I would say, and then it was like, nah.
You would just keep it.
Just let it go. Even the intros, like, we don't really do intros anymore. We're just trying to work it into the very beginning, like when we're talking to the guests. It's like we're just
podcasts just kind of just start.
Yeah,
they don't have like a set like, here's the beginning. It's just like, oh, hey, podcast has started now. We're recording.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, your guys' old intro music, and I remember I messaged you guys when I first started listening to you. I'm like, dude, your freaking intro music makes you want to run through a wall. Like, I loved it.
I'm trying to incorporate that back in, the one that Steven Veronicus made for us. I'm trying to incorporate that back in. I'm trying to figure it out, especially for video podcasts. I want to make it for that. But yeah, it's a work in progress. You figure it out one way, you get in that routine, and it's like, I think I can upgrade this. You come across little things you can upgrade, like video podcasts. Like, we didn't do that till like 2 years ago, probably. And then it was like, we just started doing that. And then it was, something else, upgrading the audio and upgrading the studio. And I'm still upgrading the studio. And it's like,
just little things here and there.
Just little things here and there. But
the videos that you post? And post them again, even those, cutting out, going through it, you got to think. It's like an hour and a half sometimes. And you got to find a little clip. And sometimes it's like not a hassle. It's just a pain in the butt to just narrow it down and put a little thing together like that for the audience to see. But it's a learning thing. I think the best thing with it is just talking to different people.
Yes.
People I would have never talked to before. I mean, I've become friends with I like to call them friends,
Mm-hmm.
guys. And I think one of the biggest takeaways through this season and just the encounters and the opportunities I had was, instead of like last year, old Alex would have, had a whole hunt plan together in my
Mm-hmm.
mind. And I pull it up on Onyx. I send a screenshot to Ethan or Cody or whoever, just using your names for an
Mm-hmm.
example, and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. What do you think? You guys would give me a recommendation and then I'll switch it. But now getting to know these seasoned guys, I'm asking them questions of, hey, what do you see deer doing when they're what do you see deer bedding in when it's minus 10 degrees out? Or do you see them feeding on this? Do you see them going to bed all the time with the wind to their back? What do you like, just kind of seeing from
Mm-hmm.
their experience and using that to put my hunt together? And man, tell you what, like these guys know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like when you have like one of those really good experienced hunters on, you're just like, shit, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
It's
you
it
know what you're
I,
talking about.
definitely like the one thing that I've always kind of came into is like, and I've told you this before too, is like I don't try and look at the numbers anymore. Like don't look at like as long as you enjoy doing it, that's like the biggest thing is like as long as you keep enjoy doing it, that's what matters. Like we could have 20 listens, we could have 30 listens, 40, whatever, but it's like if I'm learning something from it, if I'm getting knowledge from talking to whoever's on TV, that's a huge plus for me because it's helping me down the road. So like that's one thing that I've appreciated over the 5-6 years now of doing it now as well. Is
It's
learning all the knowledge.
I wasn't expecting to learn that much
Yeah.
about hunting. Like just comparing myself from where I was this time last year to now, and a lot of it's woodsmanship too,
Mm-hmm.
has opened my eyes in a lot of ways. Of it kind of like rewired the way I think when I go into hunts now. Before it was always like, okay, what's the wind, what's the map, and obviously that's all important, the terrain and all that, but kind of thinking from a deer's perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tracking, man. Like I started tracking deer and picking up on that. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm just learning,
Yeah.
but that's helped succeed or have some successful encounters in Ohio throughout the season. Blue Jays, man. Like I've always heard of Blue Jays being something.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, those Blue Jays this year in Ohio, they shaped my hunting. Like
Yeah.
I listened to them and I followed them. And Jake Bush told me to, go check out if you hear Blue Jays in 5:30 or wherever before dark going crazy,
Mm-hmm.
go check it out the next day and see what's down there. You'll probably find sign. And what do you know? Again, I was getting out of my tree the other earlier in the season. I heard Blue Jays go. I got up and down out of my tree like 3 or 4 different times because these Blue Jays kept going. I got down and I'm sitting there, and then these deer go running right behind me. I'm like, damn it. I knew it. I knew you guys were in the area. I just couldn't see you.
Yep.